Over the years, it has been said that certain household objects are cursed and haunted. They are common objects which you will find in any home, like mirrors, vases, cabinets, dolls, paintings, etc. The tale often goes that a demon or spirit exists inside the artifact, although the owners do not always know why their belongings are possessed. These supposedly haunted objects were blamed for causing disasters, and some were even blamed for attempted murder. Many have changed hands repeatedly since they were linked to the mayhem. Here are 10 household items that are allegedly haunted and cursed. Number 1. Dipbook Box. The Dipbook Box is a wine cabinet believed to have the possession of an evil spirit called a Dipbook. The box remains in the hands of antique collector Kevin Manus, who purchased it from a woman who claimed it was her grandmother's property. After buying it, Manus opened the box. There wasn't much inside, only a couple of inquisitive things, including 2 locks of human hair, a wine cup, and a candle. However, the same day Manus opened the box, someone or something ransacked his store. It was certainly not a robber, as nothing had been taken. Also, the store clerk reported the light bulbs broke suddenly, and she heard someone swearing. Manus himself noted that the store smelled of jasmine flower. Manus, at first, did not relate the incident to the box, which he gave to his mother. In which, after receiving it, she suffered a stroke within just 5 minutes, so she returned it quickly to Manus. Manus then gave the box to his sister, who handed it back after complaining that it opened up unexpectedly and gave her nightmares. Manus entrusts the box to his brother, who also returned it after having the same experience. Manus eventually put the box up for sale, but it was quickly returned by the buyer, over concerns that it had something sinister in it. Incapable of getting rid of the box, Manus literally kept it in his basement. He soon began to dread seeing ghosts in his house. Curiously enough, the same thing was also being reported by his visitors. Manus often had dreams where he was tortured, and would wake up from the nightmare with bruises and bites. Finally, Manus sold the box to Iosif Nyates, who acquired it in 2003 for $140. Like the others, Nyates soon began to complain about strange incidents in his house. He noticed things moving around his home mysteriously, and the lights unexpectedly started going on and off. He then sold the box to Jason Haxton, who lamented constant tiredness and mysterious rashes. He said he had coughed blood and his mouth had tasted metal. He met Jewish rabbis before placing it away, to ease the spirit within the box. Number 2. The Anguish Man. The Anguish Man is a painting owned by Sean Robinson's family. Sean says his grandmother, who originally owned it, has always claimed that it was evil. Sometimes his grandmother talked of a man wandering around her house at night, and other strange noises, including that of an unidentified weeping child. Sean's grandmother also claimed that the artist who made the painting, mixed his own blood with the oil paint that he used. After the painting was completed, he then committed suicide. Sean states that his family began witnessing odd incidents after acquiring the painting, following the death of his grandmother. Sean himself noted that he saw a mysterious individual weeping, a peculiar mist at the top of his stairs, and a man standing at the foot of his bed, looking at him. Number 3. Busby Stoop and Chair. The Busby Stoop and Chair was cursed by Thomas Busby, not long before he was hanged for killing his father-in-law, Daniel Audie, in 1702. Thomas and Daniel ran a coin counterfeit operation, prior to the murder. Both started having issues, which one evening came to a head when Daniel visited the inn in Thirsk, North Yorkshire, where Busby stayed with his wife, Elizabeth. Some accounts say that Daniel decided to take Elizabeth home, while others say that he'd just visited. Whatever the reason, a drunk Busby arrived to find Daniel in his favorite chair. That angered Busby and led to a brawl. Daniel left after the fight, but Busby pursued him home with a hammer and killed him. Busby was sentenced to death for the murder. On his way to execution, Busby called for a stopover at the inn, where he had cursed the chair. Many people who sat in the chair have since died in unexplained circumstances. Some committed suicide, some of them fell off buildings, some had injuries, some went to war and never came back, etc. However, that did not stop people from sitting in the chair. In the 1970s, the inn owner, Tony Earnshaw, got so fed up with the deaths attributed to the chair, that he took it to the cellar to discourage people from sitting in it. However, some adamant people still went to the cellar to sit in the chair. Earnshaw finally had enough, after an ignorant delivery driver died in a car crash, a few hours after sitting in the chair. He donated the chair to the Thirsk Museum, where it is suspended from the ceiling to prevent people from sitting in it. Number 4. The Cursed Mirror of the Myrtles Plantation. The Myrtles Plantation in St. Francisville, Louisiana, is another haunted home in the U.S. Its most haunted object is a mirror dating back 200 years. The story goes that the mirror got haunted, after a slave named Chloe poisoned a cake, killing Sarah, the plantation owner's wife, and 2 of her daughters. The deceased spirits were trapped inside the mirror, from which they haunted the plantation. Visitors to the plantation also note unusual handprints on the mirror and drip patterns. Some have also reported seeing people dressed in old-style clothes inside it. The history of the mirror is somewhat contested, as there is no record of a slave called Chloe ever operating on the plantation. Sarah and 1 of her daughters both died of yellow fever, while the other survived into adulthood, according to the records of the plantation. Number 5. Robert the Doll. Robert is considered to be the most frightening ghost doll in the world. He was associated with causing any tragic incident, from traffic accidents, to broken bones, to divorce. Some also condemn him for losing their jobs. Robert was initially owned by the artist Robert Eugene Otto, who got him from his grandfather as a birthday present when he was still a child. Otto held Robert to adulthood. He once displayed the doll at one of his house's windows. School children soon realized, however, that Robert consistently showed up and vanished from the window, causing them to avoid Otto's home. Myrtle Reuter became the new owner of Robert, after she purchased Otto's house in 1974. Home guests soon began complaining of odd footsteps and laughter. Some also said that when anyone spoke ill of Otto, Robert changed his countenance. Reuter herself complained that when nobody was watching, Robert wandered around the house. She donated Robert to Fort East Myrtle Museum in Key West, Florida, in 1994. Number 6. Belcourt Castle Chairs. In Newport, Rhode Island, the 60-room Belcourt Castle is one of the most haunted houses in the U.S. It is suspected that the haunting is related to some of the antique objects kept inside the mansion, including the chairs found inside its ballroom. When standing next to the tables, tourists sometimes complain of an uncomfortable feeling. Some say, as they try to sit in the chairs, an invisible force resists them. Others who have tried to sit in the seats claim that they have been mysteriously thrown out. Other than the spooky seats, the dance hall contains a suit of armor that screams at intervals. The screams are supposed to be that of its proprietor, who was killed at some point in March of some year, which is the exact month the screams are generally constant. He is said to have been killed, after a lance was struck, through the armor's eye slit. Number 7. The Hands Resist Him. The Hands Resist Him portrays a little boy standing on a porch, with what resembles the life-size dummy of a young girl. Behind them is a glass door with heaps of hands. The painting was made by Bill Stoneham, and is a reproduction of a comparative photo his folks had taken of him and a neighborhood friend when he was only 5. In 1972, Charles Feingarten contracted Stoneham, now grown and married, to produce 2 paintings for his gallery per month. It was during this contract that Stoneham created the painting, and named it after a poem written by his wife. The poem, titled Hands Resist Him, was about the adoption of Stoneham, and the fact that he had never met his real siblings. The painting was much like the photograph, except that Stoneham put lots of hands behind the children at the glass door, and turned the girl into a dead-eyed dummy. Whether or not the hands have bodies, is left to the audience to determine, as there are no bodies visible. This painting was bought by actor and producer John Marley in 1974. The tale of haunted painting began after 3 people, including Marley, died in the period between 1978 to 1984. However, prior to his death, Marley sold the painting, and it appeared on eBay in 2000. The family that sold it said that their daughter had seen the children leave the painting and fighting. At first, no one in the family believed the girl, and even her father set up a motion camera to prove her wrong. To everyone's horror, the camera supposedly caught the girl leaving the painting, and ordering the boy out at gunpoint. The painting was purchased by Kim Smith, who soon began to complain about some unexplained occurrences that he believed began right from the moment he submitted the first email to bid for the painting. Several people who viewed eBay's advertisement for the painting also had similar concerns. That is why the painting is often referred to as Haunted eBay Painting. Number 8. The Crying Boy. The Crying Boy, with several iterations, was not a single painting but a mass-produced print. The original one was made by Italian artist Bruno Amadio, under the pseudonym Giovanni Bragolin. The painting was very popular in the UK, where many people hung it in their homes. On September 5, 1985, when British tabloid The Sun published an article about a couple whose house burned down, the first allegation of the painting being cursed was made. The Crying Boy painting was all left of the mishap according to The Sun. The next day, The Sun released a follow-up piece reporting that it had received many calls from people with similar problems. The painting was all that was left after my house burned down, 6 months after I bought the painting, one woman said. The artwork was often blamed by people for other unfortunate events. One said that the privates of her son were stuck in a hook, and another said that since she first bought the painting in 1959, she had lost her husband and 3 children. After another house holding the painting burned down, the entire thing came to a head. The fact that the painting involved was a look-alike by another artist changed nothing. The Sun offered to help readers rid of the evil paintings from their houses. In response, the readers turned in 2,500 Crying Boy paintings, which the Sun burned in a giant bonfire. Number 9. Bassano Vase. There is uncertainty about the existence of the Bassano Vase. Its backstory is concealed in myth and folklore, and its present location is uncertain. The vase is said to have been made sometime in the 15th century, in a town just north of Napoli, Italy. Someone gave it as a present to a bride the night before she wedded. The wedding never occurred, however, because the bride died overnight. The vase was given to a member of the bride's family, who died as well after obtaining it. It was given to another member of the family, who had suffered the same fate. It was at this time that the family of the bride suspected that the vase was haunted. They buried it somewhere, where it stayed until it was uncovered in 1988. The vase contained a note warning of the enigmatic and deadly ramifications for any individual who came into its possession. The man who discovered the vase disregarded the notice and sold it to a pharmacist, who then died 3 months later. The family of the pharmacist sold the vase to a physician, who soon accompanied the pharmacist in the afterlife. It was later sold to 2 additional owners, who also perished. The last victim's family wisely chose not to sell the vase, and allegedly hurled it out the window. It was retrieved and returned by a police officer, but they declined to reclaim it. The vase was not accepted by any museum either, and it is reportedly said to be hidden in a secret place. And last, but not the least, number 10. Annabelle the Doll. The story of Annabelle's eeriness started in 1970, after a woman purchased it for her daughter. People soon began accusing the doll of random assaults, and even tried to strangle a member of the family. Ed and Lorraine Warren investigated the doll's criminal actions, and concluded that an evil spirit had possessed it. They chose to take Annabelle to their museum, but their vehicle's brakes and steering mysteriously wouldn't work until they sprinkled holy water on the back seat, where Annabelle sat. Ed kept the doll inside a glass box strengthened with prayers. However, It certainly didn't deter Annabelle from committing more atrocities. A boy and his girlfriend once had an accident on their way home, after Ed sent them out of the museum, for ridiculing Annabelle and banging on her box. Those are 10 haunted and cursed household items. Tell us what you think is the most haunted cursed item from this list in the comments section. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified whenever we upload a new content. Giving our video thumbs up is also appreciated.